Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Mic Drop on the Road from Gap Relief. Today I have the pleasure of interviewing Natalie Tibbs, the director at the Children and Family Advocacy Center, formerly known as the CAC if you've heard of it, and we're really excited to hear from her today. Natalie, thank you for joining us.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
There's a lot of nonprofits involved in child advocacy or potentially just, trying to meet hunger needs or housing needs. What is it like to be in your day job consistently coming up against people's most challenging seasons of their life? Or maybe, it's their crisis and they might look back on that crisis and think, that was the worst moment in the last 10 years for me. And then you go to the next one and the next one and the next one every day, all day. And what does that kind of impact does that have on somebody working in a space like yours?
I think it's important to recognize that our agency doesn't exist without trauma. Trauma has to have occurred in order for a child or their family to receive services here. And so that is every bit day to day of what it is that our team is experiencing. And having to be fully present for this family, wrap that up, and then be fully engaged with the next family seems impossible. Yeah. And, these are some of the worst days of somebody's life. And so it's important that just our aesthetic, the first impression that a family has when they pull into our facility, that it gives a sense of comfort and just some peace. It's so important that our clients feel that, but we also recognize that our staff have to feel that too. We also have a rule of engagement here that we have to find the joy. There's so much hard in everything that we do. We signed up for that. Like, we chose hard, but we also have to choose joy. And where does that come from? And that looks different for each of us. And so personally, I think what has allowed me to be here as long as I've been here is, yes, of course, a total commitment to the mission and the vision of the agency. That organizational commitment is critical, but it is my faith, and it is where my source of strength comes from. And continuing to remember why I chose this so many years ago, and if it needs to be refreshed. I'm not in the trenches any longer, and so I have to recognize how my role makes an impact and supports the team who is in the trenches, and making sure that they have what they need to be successful. And so my why today looks a little bit different, but at its very heart, it's the same.
Yeah, that's so good. And I love what you said there. It's like, we chose hard, but we also have to choose joy. At Gap Relief, we talk about balancing darkness with light, and I think it's just another facet of that. Right. And this reality that hard stuff is all around, and to be a part of kind of being, helping and entering into that, you have to recognize you're going to face the hard, and you got to find a way to keep it in balance. Right. And so I actually have one more question for you. You're familiar with the work that Gap Relief does among the kind of the nonprofit space, and it's going to look really different depending on the nonprofit we're working with. And we've worked directly with the CAC back when it was CAC in the past. Could you share with us a little bit from your perspective the importance of service like Gap Relief for nonprofit either volunteers or full-time workers who are kind of coming up against this type of trauma every day?
Well, there's that famous quote, "It takes a village," and we use that a lot with our work because we were Restoration Village for a long time, but it's still so true today. And I believe that while we work really hard to build processes internally to support our staff and to create resilience, we need outside support to do that as well. And then even for me as a leader, it's lonely up top is what they often say. And so to have people in the community that understand what we do, they understand my role, and then they understand to a degree of what each of our team members do, and want to come and walk alongside an agency that says, hey, you're doing really great work, we need you, and we need you to stay in this. And so to pick us up when we feel like we can't get one step further. And that's what I believe our relationship with Gap Relief has been, and it's been that way for really since the inception. And I'm a huge fan of your leadership there at Gap Relief, and so both personally and professionally. But they created space where we built pain maps, and just understanding how the impact of trauma affects our bodies, it affects our thoughts, it affects what we do when we leave here at the end of the day, but also incorporating things within our work day. Like, you can't go home and self-care.
Right.
You have to find things during the day that are taking care of your mind, your body, and your soul too.
So good. I love the practicality there and the tangible stuff. It is, to me, a joy to know the impact that our team, and I agree with you there, wonderful people at Gap Relief are being able to have on the other wonderful people in this community who are seeking to take care of those who are hurting. We talk about holding up the arms of those who are trying to serve others, and so that's really meaningful for me to hear. So thank you for sharing. And if you're tuning in and want to know more about what we're doing with nonprofits across Northwest Arkansas with this type of support, we'd love to chat. We've got more information on our website. But before we close today, I wanted to, you've answered my questions. I want to turn it over to you. Like, what, if any message you'd like to share with the Northwest Arkansas audience, just around as we go into a new year, the work y'all are doing, what words would you have for our community?
I would most importantly just say we're all in this together. Our children, our families are our most critical asset to this community, and their experiences are real. Their experiences matter, and this is an agency that partners with so many others within our community to make that experience of trauma be not the story that defines the rest of their lives. And we could not do this critical work without the community support, and we are grateful.
We are. Thank you all for everything you do to support awesome work like what's being done here, and thank you for your support of Gap Relief as well. Thanks for tuning in today.